Welcome to, to the, all right. Thank you. This is the keynote for DEIS Impact, the second annual Festival of Social Justice at Brandeis University. I'm Marcy McPhee. I'm Associate Director of the International Center for Ethics, Justice, and Public Life here at Brandeis. And I have the honor of being one of the co-conveners of the DEIS Impact Festival this week. This is a joint collaboration between the International Center for Ethics, Justice, and Public Life and Student Union, and you'll be hearing more about that in a bit. I'm going to say a few remarks. Dean Flagel will give a welcome to all of you, particularly our guests, on behalf of the university. Todd Kirkland, Student Union President, will be speaking to us, introducing our guests, Eliza and Judy Dushku. We'll have opportunity for questions and answers from the audience. And I'll just tell you now that Judy and Eliza have agreed to stay after for photos and signing, and I'll give you more information about that as we wrap up. I wanted to let you know that we're always interested in improving DEIS Impact and all of the events, and so if you got a chance to notice that you have a yellow survey on your chair, there's also some fantastic ushers passing out pencils if you need them. We are not only interested in feedback, but we are also interested in helping you win one of 3 marvelous prizes. Listed at the bottom, a little bit of DEIS Impact Dushku paraphernalia, some made by Ugandan women, and so take a look at that and note that these have been available in all of the 40 events happening at DEIS Impact this week. So the point of that is the more DEIS Impact events you attend, the better your chances to win. You've done the math. Okay. This DEIS Impact is a uniquely Brandeisian event, a milestone in the university's ongoing commitment to social justice. And one of the fun problems has been containing the festival itself. We in the Ethics Center arranged for the keynote speaker, and you'll hear more about that in a minute, and then put out a call for proposals in the Brandeis campus for clubs and academic departments and a few intrepid individuals who wanted to mount events having to do with social justice from their vantage point. So we wish we had more hours in the day, days in the week, 40 events planned during this week Festival of Social Justice. It's their collective hard work of those planners of those events that makes this a festival instead of just a keynote tonight. A special shout out to the 12 undergraduate DEIS Impactors. You see them. You see them, you hear them. You've seen them in their Brandeis blue hoodies all week. These are a team of 12 that were chosen by a competitive application process to support this week. And the 7 core committee members, your own student union leaders, Ethics Center staff, and other campus all-stars. So, DEIS Impact. Perhaps you've already been to the inventory event about the 190,000 Glock pistols and AK-47s that went missing in a year in Iraq, and an artist's response to that with postcards of pistols and AK-47s hung in the Brandeis Library, in the Women's Studies Research Center, and in the Bethlehem Chapel. That I couldn't help but think as I was taking down those postcards that you're invited to take down, yes, take a Glock pistol to go, that it was probably just about as easy for those folks who picked up the actual weapons in Iraq to pick them up as easily as I took one off of the board. Maybe you've been to the intergenerational conversation with the Brandeis adult learners and the Brandeis undergraduate students and engaged in that enriching conversation about what social justice means from a variety of perspectives, both, dare I say, age-wise, but also history-wise of being in the room with folks who had experienced a little more of that history of social justice. And maybe you're coming to this weekend's performance of Professor Antler's students' original play, When Rebellion Becomes Revolution, about the Brandeis alumni whose social activism, always adjusting that microphone upward. Welcome to Maybe activism gone wrong, you decide. Whatever your interest, I say that during this Festival of Social Justice, this DEIS Impact Week, there's a DEIS Impact event for you. One of the things that we've been doing during this week-long Festival of Social Justice is beginning to try to grapple with what is social justice. Thinking that clarity of thinking around this term could lead to clarity of action and more focused action and better collective response. Not necessarily trying to come up with a single definition that all can ascribe to, but even grappling with the question, what is social justice? So here, since I've got the microphone, here's mine. If someone steals your wallet and that person is caught and the penalty is applied, that's individual justice. Simple. Law is broken, violators are held accountable, justice is done. But it quickly becomes more complex when we talk about social justice. To me, the social in social justice refers to society, where society is the offender. You may already know that there are more toxic waste dumps located next to poor neighborhoods than rich ones. And what that means is that poor children get to play in toxic waste dumps, and rich children get spanking new interactive educational state-of-the-art playgrounds. And I call that injustice. And no particular individual is to blame. It's society that is the offender when all of us allow these inequities to continue. Another example, the legendary Paul Farmer, founder of Partners in Health, spoke in Mountains Beyond Mountains, written by Tracy Kidder. And when Kidder spoke at Brandeis a few years back, he read this section from the book about Farmer and an 11-year-old boy whom Farmer met in Haiti. He spoke about a young man named John, who was probably 11 or 12. He and his mother were all that remained of their immediate family. John's father and his 3 siblings had all died during the past few years, apparently of various ailments. When asked what he thought those had been, Farmer mentioned that they died of Haiti. Haiti, he said, they died of Haiti. There are too many people that are dying of Haiti or Uganda or urban America, where they don't have access to adequate nutrition, adequate health care, adequate education to provide for themselves and their families. Society is the offender, and that's us. No one person is to blame, and no one person can bring about a solution alone. We can only do it together, and we can only do it by looking at and acting on a multiplicity of aspects of the problem of social injustice. Maybe you're drawn to work on one aspect of addressing injustice and your friend is drawn to another. Every person is needed. And that is the reason for this festival, to put the social in social justice, to work on making a more just society together as a society. The breadth of involvement in DEIS Impact indicates a plethora of ways to contribute, from a business ethics workshop to collective drumming, breaking down barriers between people, to creating a collective artistic definition of social justice. To tonight, learning about how to support former child soldiers in Uganda. There's a way for you to get involved, and we hope that you will see the ways that people from across campus have connected their work to social justice and think, I could do that. We hope each person attending any of the DEIS Impact events will think of one more way, just one more way, that they can work towards a more just world. Skip the luxury of the overwhelmed feeling. Just start with where you are and what you're already doing, and think about how to connect it with social justice. Join us. Thanks again to the DEIS Impactors, the Core Committee, the Faculty Staff Committee, Amina Noor, the Graduate Student Coordinator of DEIS Impact, my intrepid colleague Barbara Strauss of the Ethics Center. Special thanks to Jules Bernstein of the Class of '57, now an Ethics Center board member, whose generous support through the Legacy Fund makes DEIS Impact possible, and particularly to our keynote speakers whom you've come here tonight to hear, my friends Judy and Eliza Dushku. And before I turn the podium over to those who will welcome the Dushkus, let me indulge in a personal comment. Judy has been a dear friend for decades, and we've been through a lot together. And I used to be Eliza's Sunday school teacher when she was 12 years old. And it's a rare educator that has the opportunity to see what those students in your Sunday school class do with their lives when they leave your class. It's a rare educator that gets to see the way that a student internalizes those Sunday school lessons about loving others as you love yourself and getting out of your comfort zone, in this case, half a world away from your comfort zone, to serve others who need a hand up, not a hand out. Eliza and Judy, I'm honored to be your friend. And here to welcome them and to welcome you, our guest tonight, on behalf of Brandeis University is Andrew Flagel, Senior Vice President for Students and Enrollment.
Thank you, Marcy. On behalf of President Fred Lawrence and Kathy Lawrence, who's here, Fred, who apologizes for not being with us as he's traveling, our faculty and staff and students, a most special welcome to this incredibly important event, the keynote for DEIS Impact, our week of social justice. You know, Fred often says, as we welcome the students on the podium at the orientation of Brandeis Beginnings, this is more than just college, this is Brandeis. And you feel that during this week of social justice, perhaps more than any other. This is more than an institution. I was speaking with a group of our alumni recently and discussing the degree to which, more than a university or a college, Brandeis represents an ideal, a dream, a cause. Jules Bernstein, who Marcy mentioned, who generously donated to be the patron for this event, talks lovingly about his time here. By the way, he also talks about having met Martin Luther King while he was here. And as he was discussing that with my 10-year-old, whose eyes were huge because this was akin to a 10-year-old like saying he had served with George Washington. He said, oh, yeah, I would talk with Martin. That's amazing. He said, yes, I didn't think he was all that. He kept talking, and I said to him, this is Jules talking, I said, Martin, you're all about these words. We need some action. And that's Jules. He always wanted more, and he wants more from this university. He wants more from each and every one of us, this belief that we have this unbelievably important mission to make a difference in the world, to repair the world. The president also often quotes the Talmud, and he says, to those to whom much is given, much is expected. I have a bit of an admission myself. I was incredibly excited to get the chance to be up here with the Dushkus, not only because of the important work they're doing, but as I told Eliza earlier, I'm a bit of a fanboy. So to me, the Talmud, which I grow is, it makes perfect sense, but I'm a little closer to Spider-Man. Yeah, right. With great power comes great responsibility. It was probably the same thing. Which makes it such a pleasure to actually get to introduce tonight a real live superheroine. So Eliza has played some amazing roles. And she had the perfect character name in her time with Buffy the Vampire Slayer, I think, for this event, Faith. Because a lot of what we're about is about faith in the difference we can make in the future. She plays difficult characters. Faith was deeply flawed, came from horrible backgrounds, made some truly dreadful decisions before being redeemed. For those of you who aren't into vampires and stakings and such, as I look across the room, it's a mixed bag. The reality is that Faith was a redemptive story, one in which a person can choose to make a difference, choose to commit to social justice. And if you think about the arc of the roles that Eliza has taken, ranging from Dollhouse and True Calling, and soon to be playing a foil to Robin Hood in the upcoming Saint series, they're all roles that have to do with characters that are strong and powerful, but have to make terribly difficult choices to make a difference in the world. In real life, Eliza has been anything but reluctant to make that difference. A passion, as she told us tonight, she comes by naturally from her parents and particularly her mother. Judy Dushku, who, as you'll hear a little bit more from my colleague in a moment, is an associate professor at Suffolk University, has spent her life understanding transitions in the developing world, understanding those who may be not offered as many opportunities in society, particularly the important roles that women and children are played when they are disenfranchised and the roles that our economy plays in contributing to that disenfranchisement. She also studies a whole variety of areas of policy, and part of that, which is near and dear to folks here at Brandeis, is an unbelievable commitment to experiential learning that has brought her students to unbelievable places around the world to experience injustice, to see it firsthand. And in fact, as you'll hear, that's a big part of this important work that they've begun to do. In my role, I have this weird responsibility of trying to understand the minds of 17 to 20-year-olds as someone really old. So I spend a lot of time on social media, which I remind the students every time I tell them I can't unsee things. Thank you. And in that time, I actually was telling a little bit tonight that I've done some research, particularly about the ways in which students interact on social media and the ways in which we commit to justice in those forums, the ways in which we make a difference in the world. And there are few people, I will tell you, out there in the world making as much a difference in social media as Eliza Dushku, with 1.3 million plus followers, all of whom she has managed to rally behind the outstanding work that they're doing. Fred always closes with a line that seems so important to me as we think about this week of social justice and all that Brandeis means to us. So I will share it once more, and particularly in reference to Marcy and Dan and Todd and all of our DEIS impactors and all the faculty and staff that put so much blood, sweat, and tears into bringing off this phenomenal week. Thank you so much for all that you have done, but more importantly, for all that we will do together. Now it is my pleasure to introduce Marcy's partner in justice in bringing all of this off. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming your Student Union President, Todd Kirkland.
Wow, this is just incredible. I just look back over the past year, and it was actually a little less than a year. Shortly after I became Student Union President, I got an email from Marcy, and she was like, DEIS Impact, let's talk about it. And I was like, I haven't even started my summer yet. We're already talking about DEIS Impact. It just happened, and we're not even sure if it's going to happen again. And I took on the challenge, and Marcy and I met over the summer. Thankfully, I was nearby, and we met over the summer. We started continuing the idea, and we were like, playing around. Should we even continue with the name DEIS Impact? Should we switch it up? Do we want to continue this annually year after year? And it was just fascinating to look back and to see how much progress has developed about this particular festival. I remember one thing that I said during one of our steering committee meetings in early September was that the one thing I want out of this is that I want to be bigger, better, and now even bolder. And I think we've accomplished that this year. And I hope that for years to come, that students just like you, that unlike me, I'm graduating, but students out there that are sophomores, juniors, or even first years, like some of our DEIS impactors, really do continue this tradition. This is a great collaboration between both students, not just the student union, but not all the DEIS impactors around student union. There are plenty of students. Anyone of you right here can be a part of this wonderful festival. And you're attending this event, but especially in planning it and really continuing to keep the tradition alive is something that I actually do truly hold dear. I hope that when I come back next year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, even 50 years, to see that this festival continues to grow and become so integral. I just hold this really, dear to me, and it's just fascinating to see that this has all come together. I do have to greatly appreciate Marcy and all of her wonderful work. When we were thinking about a keynote, she just so happened to meant so happily mentioned, she's like, oh yeah, I was the Sunday school teacher for Eliza Dushku, and I was like, what? Are you kidding me? You're talking about the same person here, and so happened that it all worked out, and Eliza and Judy Dushku are sitting right in front of me, and are about to be on this stage, and that was this wonderful moment, and how every week we just came closer to closer building this week. It's 10 days. That's more than double than it was last year, and the number of events, the variety, the impact it's made so far has been wonderful. But that's just really just a little side note. But beyond that, I just want to give a brief little introduction to who are going to come up here and speak to you all. Judy Dushku, as Andrew briefly mentioned, she's an associate professor at Suffolk, mainly in government. She has had writings and discussed topics mainly in comparative politics, but she has also founded THRIVE-Gulu, which she's going to talk to you guys a little about. It was actually founded, I believe, in 2009. And if you guys don't know what it is about, really having, healing, having a healing center for victims of trauma that have gone through the Uganda war. If you don't know much about the war, it's been going on for decades now, and just having a rehabilitation center, healing center for those victims has just been amazing. And Eliza Dushku, she's also been a strong advocate for it, as well as many other charities. Actually, one in the Boston area, I believe it's called DEIS. Is that correct? Thank you. And she also is a strong advocate for other issues such as LGBT, civil rights, etc. So I just wanted to briefly mention that, and that's all from me. So if I could have the esteemed pleasure of introducing to you both Eliza and Judy, you can come to the stage. Thank you.